This is the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth quarter, 2021.
Lesson 12 from our series Present Truth in Deuteronomy is titled Deuteronomy in the New Testament, ready for teaching on December 18, and I'm Percy Harrold. Monday, December 13, Lifting Up Faces. In Deuteronomy chapter 10, Moses again was recounting Israel's history and again used those accounts to admonish his people to faithfulness. Amid that admonishment, he said something else. Read Deuteronomy 10, 17-19. What's the essential message to the people here, and why is this message relevant to God's church today? Deuteronomy 10, 17-19. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He administers justice for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. The phrase shows no partiality is translated from a Hebrew figure of speech. It means literally that he does not lift up faces. This is believed to have come from a legal setting in which the judge or king sees the face of the person on trial and, based on that person's status, important person or someone insignificant, the judge or king renders a verdict. The implication here in Deuteronomy is that the Lord doesn't treat people in such a manner, despite his great power and might. He's fair with everyone, regardless of their status. This truth, of course, was revealed in the life of Jesus and how he treated even the most despised in society. Read Acts chapter 10, verse 34, Romans 2:11, Galatians 2:6, Ephesians 6:9, Colossians 3:25, and 1 Peter 1:17. How do these texts make use of Deuteronomy 10, verse 17? First of all, Acts 10:34, Then Peter opened his mouth and said, In truth, I perceive that God shows no partiality. Romans 2:11, For there is no partiality with God. Galatians 2:6, But from those who seem to be something, whatever they were, it makes no difference to me. God shows personal favoritism to no man, for those who seem to be something added nothing to me. And Ephesians 6, verse 9, And you masters, do the same things to them, giving up threatening, knowing that your own master also is in heaven, and there is no partiality with him. And Colossians chapter 3, verse 25. But he who does wrong will be repaid for what he has done, and there is no partiality. And 1 Peter 1:17, And if you call on the Father, who without partiality judges according to each one's work, conduct yourselves throughout the time of your stay here in fear. However varied the circumstances in each one of these references, in Ephesians, Paul tells masters to be careful how they treat their slaves. In Romans, Paul is talking about the fact that when it comes to salvation and condemnation, there's no difference between Jews and Gentiles. They all go back to Deuteronomy and to the idea that God does not lift up faces. And if the God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, won't do it, then certainly we shouldn't as well. Particularly in how Paul in Romans frames it, we can see a revelation of the gospel. We are all on the same plane, regardless of who we are in terms of status. We are all fallen beings in need of God's saving grace. And the good news is that, regardless of our status, we all are offered salvation in Jesus Christ. So to finish today, how often, even subtly, do you lift up faces, and why does the cross show us how sinful that attitude really is? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.